Of the Board of Aldermen for Tuesday, December the 16th, 2025 shall come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Morse. Price.
Here.
Wilson.
Present.
Ballard.
Here.
Neal.
Present.
Ross.
Here.
Raines.
Here.
Sagister.
With 6 present, we have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm entertaining a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have adopted the agenda. I'm entertaining a motion for the approval of the minutes of November the 4th, 2025, and the work session of November 18th of the regular session. I'm entertaining a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor of the approval of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. The ayes have it. We approve the minutes of November the 4th and November the 18th. I'm entertaining a motion for the discussion and the approval of the bills and the financial report. Entertaining a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the financial reports.
Second.
All right. Is there a discussion? There are 2 items on here that jumped out at me, just not a question, just wonder what they are. Just because I'd like to know. On the first page of the check report, there's a check for $75,496. Is Natalie here? Aha.
Airport new portable building.
Aha, okay. I'm sure it was fine. It just jumped out at me. And over on page 3, I guess this is probably obvious, but it still jumped out at me. Or page 3. There's a check for $73,171.37 to Travelers. I presume that's insurance payment. Okay. All right. Well, we have had a further discussion. Then those in favor of approving the bills and financial reports say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have approved the bills and financial report, and would like to now make a introduction of our new hire for the street department. Colton Dickman. Is Mr. Dickman here?
He is. Yeah, we welcome Mr. Dickman. He's been here a couple weeks. He's originally from Iowa.
All right, Mr. Dickman, it is our custom and pleasure to have you come forward and shake our hand because we really love to have new employees.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for all your work. Appreciate it.
Iowa.
Welcome.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
You betcha.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
You're gonna miss that.
I'm entertaining a motion for the approval of Shirley Cofer for a re-up on a 5-year appointment to the Board of Adjustments. I'm entertaining a motion.
I'd make the motion to reappoint Shirley Cofer to the Board of Adjustments for a 5-year term.
Discussion? No discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of recommending for Shirley to be re-up for 5 years, say aye.
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 The ayes, no. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We have approved Shirley Cofer for a 5-year term on the Board of Adjustments. Shall we have the administrator's report?
Good evening. A few quick things. Start with some good news here. I think we've talked about this, but last weekend was Shop with a Cop. It was a huge success. So thanks to Chief Johns, Chief Watkins, their staff, and everybody else who helped out with that. So it's a huge thing. We had 158 kids participated. I don't know if that's an all-time high, Chief, but that's great turnout. Yeah, so I think well done. I mean, that's such a nice program for those kids. Did everybody have a chance to look at the overlay project report that was included in the packet? Do we have any questions about that? It's kind of broke down how much we paid, how much was reimbursed. We had to do a couple other things, and then the streets that we actually worked on. So that was included. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know.
Thomas, I had a quick question about
Okay.
that. Was the intent all along to dip into the street reserves to get, because we just knew we needed 400 and some odd $1,000 worth of work, or was that something where we thought we were gonna come in at 320 and we just needed to, ended up needing to supplement because it was more expensive than planned?
No, I think that's something we intended to do.
Yes.
Yep.
It was budgeted that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay,
Are they complete,
just-
are they completely done with
Yes.
the overlays and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Just so everybody's aware, we're going to be redoing the gym floor at the rec center, and so it will be closed from December 23rd to January 1st. Natural gas update. As you know, the board put out a resolution to kind of push this natural gas discussion along. With that in mind, there was a meeting held on December 3rd. Great turnout. We had EDP was there. We had some elected officials, representatives from some political representatives there at the state and federal level, developers, and kind of just got everybody together and talked about natural gas and the importance of it. And obviously everybody is behind that. And so we have formed a subcommittee, which the mayor and I are part of that subcommittee, and we're going to be, doing everything we can to try to move that forward. Sandy Crawford, senator out of Dallas County, has already kind of been working on it a little bit. We have a meeting with her scheduled in the near future to kind of see where she is, kind of coordinate efforts. But as you know, this is a Herculean project, but you got to start someplace, and that's what we're going to do.
Who else is on the subcommittee?
That would be. Let's see my notes here. Make sure
Mr.
I get this
Testerman for one
right.
thing.
Yep, Michael Calhoun with CMH. Holly Elliott, she is Brad Testerman's counterpart there in Dallas County. She works for their economic development. Ron Townsend, he's a person with utility experience and somebody who wants to do business here in this county. Myself, Mayor Stevens, and of course Brad Testerman. So there's 6 in total. And so we'll be doing continual updates, obviously to the people that were at that meeting and to the board in the future as things progress. Had a little incident at Fullerton Field 2. Somebody's taking a joyride and took out a corner post. We filed a police report, so we'll have to be fixing that. Hopefully, we're waiting on what those costs are going to be, but hopefully it's not going to be too much. I think I sent out an email maybe last week. I'd like to do a strategic planning session with the board. I proposed February 26th or 27th. Any feedback from the board on those dates so I can get that scheduled, please?
Discussion?
It would be like a lunch, like 11 to like 1, something like that.
Does someone have a preference, or we not speak up here?
You're thinking just 1 2-hour session, or both days 2 hours?
No, just probably just 1 if we need to meet again.
Very strategic.
And it might be that it's like 11 to 2. I don't know. I know. Well, if we have to meet again, we'll switch.
No, I'm not mad at it. We've had some strategic planning, like weeks or something. Some of them have been very long, so I just wasn't
That's-
sure.
That's not my intention.
Those the dates that you're proposing again, please, sir.
February 26th or 27th over lunchtime.
All right. What say we? Does someone have a preference? Want to just do it on Thursday rather than a Friday?
Are those Wednesday and Thursday.
25th and 26th.
26th and 27th.
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, that's Thursday, Friday.
That'd be Thursday and Friday.
25th, 26th?
No, 26th.
26th or 20,
Did I get them mixed up on this and on what I sent out the email?
the 26th of February is the Thursday.
I meant to do the Wednesday or the Thursday.
Okay,
Sorry.
So the 25th and 26th.
Either Wednesday or Thursday.
How about we pick the 26th at
Yep.
lunch? I'm good with that.
Thursday.
all right.
I'm sorry, I got my
The start time is
notes.
gonna be,
I'll send something out. 11.
I probably wouldn't be able to be available till about 11:15 that day, but that's fine.
Would you prefer a different day then?
No, I can stroll in fashionably late, that's fine, right? No, or we can do like an 11:30, but I'm fine to miss the first 15 minutes. I doubt that all the strategic
Really?
planning, I doubt all the strategic planning will be over by the time I arrive.
And the last thing I have, we'll be having our holiday party tomorrow at the Rose Building. All of you, of course, have been invited. We'll have the office closed here for a little bit, but that starts at 11:30. All right. Any questions of me? That's all I have for you.
Just a moment, let me catch up here, please.
Yeah, I'll
And
be.
what time did we say?
Yeah, this has to be posted and
11.
everything.
Okay. I'm sorry.
While he's catching up, Thomas, you were mentioning the Fullerton Fields. Did we have any idea who's responsible, or is it just?
No. Was that a Friday night, Todd? That happened? Thursday night?
I know. Okay. I'm entertaining a motion for the acceptance of the administrator's report.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
All in favor of accepting the administrator's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have accepted the administrator's report. Who will be discussing the Dunnigan Park?
Dredging.
Okay, is the park director, by the way.
Good evening. I think a few months ago we talked about dredging possibilities at the park, and then I know a couple meetings ago I think Alexis had brought it back up. So what I've done is I went through and did some research. I want to provide some information with you tonight, and then you guys can kind of decide what direction you want to go to. I met with Kyle Hedges and Ben Parnell with the conservation. Kyle is a wildlife conservation agent person, and then Ben Parnell is the fisheries management biologist. So I went and met with them, got some feedback from them to see if they thought dredging would be a possibility at Dunnigan. They both shared. They actually kind of asked what's the reason to do that, and usually when you dredge, of course, is you get all the silt and all the junk out of the bottom and try to get more depth. Well, typically when you get more depth for ponds, you're trying to increase the oxygen for the fish, okay? Well, as you guys know, we don't have a lot of fish at Dunnigan. We have a few, but not a lot. So really that wouldn't benefit us that much to dredge it, because we really don't need to add oxygen to the pond, because the way our pond is set up out there, it's mainly for wildlife, which is your fowl, our swans and our ducks and our geese and stuff like that. So talking through all that, they both recommended that we really don't need to dredge it at this point. They said because we're not going to really gain anything from that. We estimate with Rhett and his crew, because they put stuff out on the pond throughout with the fountain and then also the Christmas stuff. They estimate the deepest part of that pond is 6 feet. That's just the deepest part. Of course, the other part we have no idea. We'd have to probe it and see. So their recommendation at this point, and I've talked to Thomas about it a little bit and Red, and we as a staff, we recommend that we really don't maybe need to do anything at this point. So what I did, though, on the other side of it is I called a dredging company to get some feedback from them to see kind of how they gauge if the stuff needs dredged and how they do that. So basically, and also to give you some just general information, if we want to move that way eventually sometime. The company I talked to was out of St. Louis. His name's Jason Ashner, and the company is called Muck Miners, okay? But they are a legit company that dredges. They said there's usually two types of processes to dredge. You can either dredge with a hydraulic process, or you can also dredge mechanically. Brent, do you have that picture? Yeah. If you look up here at this picture, this is the hydraulic method, and what they do is they basically suck all the muck out, and then it goes up to that big balloon, and it dumps it in there, and then the water comes back into the to the pond. Okay, that's what they call the hydraulic. It's called the dewatering process, and that's how they get it out of there. The other process is the mechanical process, and that's where you basically drain all the water out of the pond, and then you go in there with your machines and you scoop it out and you put it in dump trucks and you haul it out. Okay, so those are the two methods that we could look at sometime if we ever want to do this. There's pros and cons to it. The hydraulic method is cheaper than the mechanical. Also, it's a lot messier with the mechanical process versus the hydraulic. But anyway, those are the couple things. He said if we want to really get to know the depth of our pond, we can do a probe test. He kind of told me how to do that. But we can go around and check that. Also, getting back to the conservation conversation, mainly we have enough water flow that comes into that pond from CMH. As you guys know, with their new development and to the west, they've got that nice big channel they put there that everything comes in. So we have a lot of water that actually moves into the pond and out of the pond. So we kind of have our own filtering system there. And with the fountain being on there, that's kind of a mini filtering system too. So with all that information, we would just recommend at this point that we just maybe keep it as is, kind of keep our eyes on it and stuff, and kind of see if it does start filtering or getting closer here in a year or so. Another lens you got to look at is we're getting ready to put in a new asphalt trail through there. So if we don't want too much conflict with that, because there's going to be some situations where we may have to close the park for part of a day or half a day or a day when we're doing that project. And when you're dredging, there's going to be some inconveniences there as well. So just want to give you some information on what we found out, what we recommend, and then if we ever move forward, then what we can do down the road with a possibility with getting a company in here and doing that.
A couple of things. First of all, when I was a kid, a lot of things were different from that they are now, because that was a pretty long time ago. But fishing out of the pond was real common. We fished frequently out of there. Was there a time that we decided we shouldn't, or is of course you say that with the shallow depth, maybe it doesn't support fishing. And are there liability problems with fishing?
All I know is that process was put in place when I came, so I don't know how that decision was made or when it was made. Somebody that's been here longer could tell me. I don't know how long that's been in place. I just know now the only time they allow fishing is special situations, circumstances, business day or something like that. Sure. They do allow it, but overall they do not. I think part of it too is with the conflict of the fowl and the ducks and the geese and all that. I think that kind of they work against each other. Yeah,
because there weren't any Canadian geese around then, and it was. And the other thing is that, is there a danger? There's a name of the process that I cannot think what the word is, where a wetland like that or a pond actually begins to disappear. Silting, and I haven't seen much evidence of overgrowth yet, but is there danger of that over-silting over time, or is there enough fleshing out there's no real change in the depth that you're aware of?
Just from what they told me, there's just enough runoff that comes down in there and then it filters out. I don't see that happening right now, but it could, but I don't see it right now.
Just a couple of things. Anyone else?
Yeah, did you in your conversations with muck miners, get any idea of ballpark what kind of cost we would be looking at if we were at some point in the future
Yes.
to decide we needed to do this?
I have that. You probably don't want it. No.
I mean, better to know.
Yeah. A lot of it depends on, because they base it on cubic yards of stuff they bring out.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So he just kind of went through what was kind of cool about it. Jason got on Google and he was looking at our pond and measuring, so it was kind of cool while we were visiting. So anyway, but if we were, and he said with the depth of our pond currently, what he thinks with some of it being 6 feet, we would not have to dredge the whole thing.
Okay.
So he guesstimated, okay,
Sure.
half of it. And half of it would be about 140,000.
I don't know why anyone's surprised.
And is that the hydraulic method or is that the mechanical method?
Hydraulic.
So the mechanical would be more.
Yes.
Is there a benefit? It seems like mechanical, like, would be much more disruptive, like draining and putting, like, is there a benefit to the mechanical that offsets to justify the higher cost? Why would you not just automatically opt for the hydraulic method if it's cheaper and doesn't require that you empty your whole pond? Is there benefit to the mechanical that I'm not seeing? Right? Like, it sounds like that would be
I don't
why
know
I'm
that
like,
answer.
Todd, didn't you say they have to keep it on site for a certain amount of time to dry out?
If you do hydraulic, they do, but if you do mechanical, they haul it off. Here's some negatives with mechanical. You put it in the dump trucks, there's going to be some leakage. There's going to be, so when you're driving down the road,
Yeah.
yeah, so
I'm
there's
not
all,
seeing the upsides of mechanical,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying. I'm just
Yeah.
a high price tag for a whole mess that you don't want. That's why I was just.
Either.
Well, no,
Well,
I know, but I'm
I think-
particularly, it's always
I would say
surprising
the
when-
reason mechanical is a lot higher is because of the equipment they're using and how much more an hour they're charging versus you have one guy on a machine.
Right, but presumably someone's
With the
also.
hydraulic,
Probably.
they actually
Well, you got
are
dump trucks.
filtering that water right
Yeah.
back into the pond, and with mechanical, we have to break the berm and empty the pond.
I know, that's why I'm trying, I don't understand,
is
like,
the
I
flow?
get,
I'm
I
sorry,
get
Matt.
that it is more expensive for them. I don't understand why it is a product they continue to offer. If they're like, we could do this less awesome product, but we'll charge you more. Are you interested?
Yeah, what is the pro?
Like what-
And another con to it, to the mechanical,
Right.
sorry. We just did this 2.5 years ago at my house. We've got a pond that's just a little shy of an acre. We drained it, dredged it, got the berm built back in. We had drought and drought and drought. And we don't have very much water in it right now. It's taking forever.
I think the last time, we tried to find that information today, I think the last time they dredged this was like in 1998, but we couldn't find any record to confirm that and the cost of that.
Sure,
So we tried to find that.
we'll just talk up some history for now. and wait.
But anyway, I just want to give you the process. There's 2 options when we decide to do it. There's probably going to be a day that we may have to do it. Anyway, just to give you that information.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader.
Thank you.
Yep, thank
Okay.
you for looking that information up. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Do we have a report on the update on the Liberator Avenue East Loop funding?
So just to follow up, there you have details in your packet, but for primarily just following up on what was shared at the last meeting, there are some key questions board asked me to follow up on. So that is here. First thing to note is that the intersection, the 50-50 cost share, they have answered, MoDOT has answered that is restricted to the entire segment construction. They do seem agreeable to separating the north and the south segments and their respective intersections. However, there is not a willingness to reconsider the separation of the segment from the intersection itself. So what that means simply is we cannot just construct the roundabout. They would not issue us a permit to begin the construction of the roundabout unless we had already obtained or committed funds to complete the entire segment of the north section. And that segment, again, is from 32 to Buffalo, that we would have to either have funds acquired or committed to that construction.
Kyle, can you remind me, I know we had the sheet last time with the 3 different options.
Mm-hmm.
So if we did the roundabout and the north segment, what was the city's portion of that option?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm asking? The number
Yeah.
that's for? Okay.
So that kind of end cost projected to the city right now would be 4.9
I thought
million.
it was the right around
Correct, yeah.
5.
Yep,
Because
right around.
The 1 million one was just doing.
Yeah, about 1.2 was the projected final cost to the city if we only constructed the roundabout. Of course, that was caveated with the question that we've now answered, and that is no longer an option. So, I would say, except for we could ultimately choose to not accept the 50/50 cost share as it stands right now, which constrains those two together. We could resubmit a cost share which only contemplates the roundabout. I've made that case to MoDOT that seems reasonable that they could be considered already, but understanding their process is you submitted an application, it listed these things together, that was part of the contemplation of the committee, so it's, that's their position is that was already contemplated, approved in that sense. So yeah, there's no movement on that. I think it's very possible that we could, if we chose to just submit an application for the roundabout, that may have traction in and of itself, just not under this funding cycle.
The question I have, so the 4.9 million to the city, that's with us using all of our grant funds.
It's every funds that we already have
So
available.
that total project would be about 9 million, about 8-ish million.
Yeah, it's 4. It's about 9.8 million projected total costs before. Well, if you add the engineering of the entire section, the entire corridor, both north and south, then you have to add another 1.34.
But if we
onto
just
that.
had the
So,
engineering of the north side, it's going to be about that 9.
yeah, I mean we're going. Yeah, we're going to we're going to have neared the completion of the engineering before we. I don't know how you'd want to separate those. We will have spent that money.
Okay.
By the time we got to going to bid for the north section, the south section, they've been being designed
So you said
concurrently. So
That's about
you know,
1.2, you said?
correct.
for the-
That's 1.2.
So on top of the
yeah.
9.8, so it'd be about 11 million.
If you can, yes, before that's total cost. There are some funds that we already have acquired, like for instance, the HUD funding is an earmark that is $2.5 million that is essentially ours to recapture those engineering funds.
Okay.
So it still lands you at that about 4.9 million for cities total cost. But
so-
yes, if you think of the total infrastructure
So what
costs there.
stops us from, doing the north side, is that's probably a pretty big need, because we can do the north side and that can get people from D Highway all the way to Mount Gilead. And then, maybe potentially looking at the south side, right-of-ways, things like that on the south side to come in the future, but maybe not necessarily just we get this done and then boom, move to that. Is that a potential option?
Yeah, that would have been that. So actually, one addition you made there is in that 4.9 million. That was in that option B from last presentation. That did include acquiring right of way on the south the south portion as well. So, but it didn't include any other additional construction. That would have been the stop of that phase. Yeah. So that phase would.
So that
be
4.9 would include the right of way on the south side,
yes,
also, and the construction on the north side.
Yes,
Okay.
design of the entire corridor, right-of-way acquisition of the entire corridor, and construction on the north, both the roundabout and the road section. So the other items that I'll mention here, and I certainly welcome any other questions, but the other questions that we had outstanding from last meeting was I had put to MoDOT a requested increase of our percentage of the governor's cost share. That came back at its initial denial. I felt maybe that the request wasn't fully understood, so I've asked them to reconsider that again. because my understanding from what all other communities that were approved in that program was that their percentage of match was 50%. It's been explained to me that we were on the cusp at the end, so our value was accepted, but our percentage was decreased to 25%. I've suggested to them, let us spend what you were going to let us spend at the 25% rate, but just let us spend those dollars at the 50% rate. That would save us about 1.6 million additional. So if you take that one, they have not, actually, I'm sorry, it's 1.37. They have not approved that. They did say they'll take that question under advisement for the third time. You know, we're just having some conversation back and forth about that. So I think, and they're being very responsive, and MoDOT's been, I mean, they have their position, but they have been responsive in the conversation for sure. The other thing I would mention just from those questions is they on your note sheet here, it does note that we were waiting to hear from them on the extension, the agreement extension. Since this was printed, I did receive word that agreement extension was approved. So as far as having to make a decision to go into the agreement for the north or south sections, that has been granted to us. The extension is granted until June of 26. So we do have a little bit of time. That was a significant point of conversation last meeting. We were under really a short timeline. If we wanted to take advantage of those funds, they have extended that for us until June of 26. I think that is an important thing to note. And then you had also asked for some details about the State Infrastructure Bank. So the State Infrastructure Bank is a funding mechanism that allows municipalities to access funds at competitive interest rates, and those details are listed. It's a minimum cost of or a minimum loan rate of $50,000, maximum of $10 million. The max term is 10 years. Some of these things can be determined. There's a board that determines that. Some of those things can be requested higher, but these are the standard maximums. And the rate does vary. The most recent rate they could provide for me was from October of 2025, and at that time it was 2.75%. The loan is, if people are familiar with a construction loan, the loan is funded like a construction loan. You are essentially qualified for the amount, and you draw down on that as you spend towards the construction project. There are generally a minimum of 1 to 2 payments on that debt service a year. And so if you looked at that roughly $5 million range, you're looking at right about $560,000 a year on that debt service. I think we just did the math. I think the total interest on that is roughly $740,000 on a $5 million. It works out to somewhere around $112,000, I think, per million per year, on your debt service there. So it's a competitive, loan structure, and it's restricted, of course, to infrastructure projects and things like that. So and it's funded at the state level and backed by all of that. And there is a financial review and all that. I don't think we would have any risk of that process, but of course none of those things are guaranteed until you reach approval. And MoDOT has stated that approval under that program would be sufficient enough to prove that we have the funds or the commitment for the funds if we decided to proceed, even if we chose to self-fund it. If we got that approval and if we chose to go that route or not, that would be there. So the next steps really for the board is we still are waiting on the updated agreement language. That will come from MoDOT in the next couple weeks, as I understand it from them. The extension has been confirmed, so that's there noted on your next steps. The board will need to review and ultimately make an approval of some sort of funding approach, which could include just recommending not accepting the agreement. And then we are continuing to explore other grant funds. Obviously, we're not stopping on our efforts from the staff side to find other funding out there. The Build grant did just release a notice for funding, though they're releasing information very limited, which is a bit frustrating because it's due in February 24th, I believe, of 2026. But we are already working on that a grant, that grant could fund the entire project at an 80-20. Though I will say in past grant cycles, they've funded about 5% of their applicants. So, so it's not, a high likelihood. saying there's a chance. Yep. Many applicants apply multiple years before seeing, from my understanding right now, my research. So
Would you be likely to have heard back about that prior to the June 26th deadline?
it's very close. So you are supposed to have heard by the end of June. I know it is. That's a good question, and it is remarkably similar timelines. They're not coordinated in any way, but yeah, I just don't know. And if the build grant moved their notices out quickly, then yes, you would hear well in advance potentially, because they could announce as early as April, May. But they have until the end of June, and even to say that they haven't, they could extend their timeline arbitrarily and by their own efforts. So yes, it's possible we'll have a build grant application and an answer before June. It's possible we'll just have a build grant application and uncertain when June comes.
Do you know, Kyle, would passing on a grant, does that negatively impact at all future applications for grants? If they're like, look, you have the chance, you're like, yeah, we had a chance, but the match ratio wasn't what we needed it to be. Are there other than not getting those dollars in hand right then, are there other negative consequences to passing on a grant and waiting for a better match to come along? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I'd want to answer that comprehensively enough to say, I think it's really important for our staff to work with an answer. When we answer them, we're passing on this. We need to be give a lot of explanation why, because it's not the fullness of what we requested and these kinds of things. That's going to be a little bit harder with the 50-50. It's actually fairly simple with the governor's cost share, because we say, ultimately we didn't get funded at the rate we requested. So I will first say, I think the board should do what they think is financially responsible for the city. They shouldn't worry about future grant funding or reputation. But yes, if we don't navigate those waters, with some caution, there is a likelihood that Bolivar here said they were committed to this project. They got accepted, approved, and now they're backing away and they can't do it. We certainly wouldn't want to do that repeatedly. I'm not worried about that in this case, in the sense of, we have a very good working relationship with MoDOT. I've been very upfront with them about the fact that we're looking for more funds. What else do you have available? I've been very upfront with them about our desire to separate those intersections from the corridor. I mean, it won't be, there's nothing I don't think that would long-term jeopardize us, is my answer on this one. It wouldn't be a good practice as,
Right. So I guess I'm wondering, I understand your point of like, look, we asked for something, they're giving us what we asked for. It looks weird if we get what we asked for and then walk away.
Yeah.
But when we asked for it, we know the new price tag on the roundabout.
Well, we submitted that as part of the ask.
The new price?
The engineers did submit that as
Okay,
part
so we knew-
of.
So that we wouldn't be able to say.
Yes, and that-
We did, but then the price went up by however many millions of dollars, and so that does change our calculus.
I think we could say that as it relates to being tied to the rest of the corridor, but the price for the roundabout was contemplated in the application.
Okay.
And part of the reason they contemplated that, as I mentioned last time, is to make sure for it to be conservative enough to capture all the potential funds that would be expended on the roundabout, so that we were only ever spending 50%, not going over what was.
No, that makes
yeah.
sense. I just wasn't sure about the timeline of when that information came in relative to the application.
Sure. Yeah.
So then, and I know we don't have to decide on this tonight, but I would love to hear from staff at some point in the future about what a $500,000 to $600,000 payment on an annual basis. For
Yeah, and I think we have
looks
some
like
other
on a budgetary
conversation. Yeah, I think we have some other conversation later tonight
It
that we
doesn't,
need to.
again,
Yeah.
I realize that we have some time. You did a great job of getting us more time to make these decisions, but I get that it's a competitive loan product, but that $500,000 has
Yep.
to come from somewhere. So
Yep.
I'd love to hear where that somewhere is going to be.
Yeah, and simply, I want to be clear right now, I'm just trying to present the information to you. I'm not trying to
Yep, absolutely.
recommend that that's the route we take.
And I appreciate that you've done a great job running that information to ground for us, so thank you.
Okay.
Further discussion? I think that is pretty thorough. Thank you, Mr. Lee. I'm entertaining a motion for the bill for the first reading of bill number 22-579.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor.
This is bill number 2025-79, ordinance number 4101, an ordinance adopting the 2026 budget for the city of Bolivar, Missouri.
Mr. Relford, do you want us to bring us up to date on the changes that were requested?
Sure. So earlier this week, actually last week, we sent out a revised budget, version number 3, and included with that some talking points about things that we've changed to meet the requirements of the board. That being, they did not want us to use any funds from indirect. We've done that. Now we've balanced the budget without using any indirect funds, and actually $8,000 to the good. But to do that, we had to cut a few things. We made some minor adjustments in all the departments. We reduced the dangerous building assistance fund from 6 payouts down to 5 payouts. We reduced some engineering fees that we thought we could buy with maybe a little bit less money. But more importantly, there were some positions that we didn't fund. For example, I know the board, I think, expressed their views on that CALIA position. That's not going to be funded. And then we did fund an additional civilian position within the police department. We think that's warranted and that fit. And then we made some changes with staffing here in City Hall. We did go forward with a part-time position to full-time and added another full-time position. But again, that met the requirements of the board as far as the budget.
Was that an overview or was that a complete list?
No, I mean, it's in here. I've documented everything.
Sure.
From the information I sent out last week.
Mr. Mayor, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Oh,
Were there any positions that already exist that plan to be eliminated for 2026?
No.
go ahead, please.
So I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
One is on the summary list of bullet points. You have elimination, reduction of building improvement projects. Have we talked about what specific ones have dropped off? I just wasn't sure what the.
No, not in detail within this setting.
Okay.
But mainly was we were going to try to do some work here in the boardroom and out there in the lobby, try to freshen things up. We're not going to be able to do that.
The other question I had is, when we talked about the staffing positions, Chief Johns came and he said, there are these two positions that I want, and we had the conversation of, do you want them enough to make cuts elsewhere? And asked you the same question about the city hall positions, and both of you guys said, yes, we want those positions enough to make the cuts. So see, in this summary, one of the positions on the PD side is being included, but all, other than the communications support, the 1.5 that city hall wanted, that's all in there. So just because I wanted, my understanding was Chief Johns, there was plenty for that second position to do regardless of the CALIA, the movement on the CALIA side, that there was enough administrative work that he described what the situation was over there. I am just trying to flesh out, I got one department that said they get half of what they asked for, another department that says they wanted 1.5 and is getting all of what they asked for. Wanting to flesh out how that conversation happened. Is that something where Chief John said he doesn't want that position anymore, that there are other things he needs, or what? Because my understanding was that those two positions were a very high priority for the police department, and only
Right.
one of them is included in this budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a compromise. I think we understand. I think with CLIA in the position of the board, is this not going through?
Sorry,
apparently Okay.
I was off. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think in the future that's sustainable to have that position with CLIA. I think we understand what the board's intentions are with that, and we just didn't think that was something we needed to move forward on.
I guess I want to make sure that the, I don't mean this in a critical way, I'm trying to be careful how I say this, the people who work in City Hall who work more directly with the city administrator, I want to make sure that those staffing needs don't get valued more highly than a department that doesn't work in City Hall all the time. Because my understanding was, regardless of what we did with Kalia, from what Chief John said, and if he wants to speak to that, he can, there was sounded like a pretty desperate need for that administrative support, and more than enough for that person to do, even if Kalia was not a part of their job at all. I could be misremembering that, but I just want to make sure that, and maybe we were not clear with not wanting to go through with Kalia. My intention was, if the police department wanted that position and could make it work financially, was to trust their description and their assessment of what they need. And if they needed that administrative support, for them to be able to do it, if they could make it work in the budget. So I just want to make sure of that, because I don't want.
You know, I can tell you that, I mean, this isn't just me and Natalie in the room making
Right.
these decisions. I mean, we met with every department head after the last meeting, and we went through this, and we made these cuts and reductions together. And as far as positions, we talked about this, and at the end of the day, this is what we thought would be the best thing for the city as a whole.
Okay.
Further discussion? It's a big issue. Is there something more that needs to be said? Then I will entertain then a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2025-79.
Second reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-79, ordinance number 4101, an ordinance adopting the 2026 budget for the city of Bolivar, Missouri.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ross.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
By a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, we have adopted Bill number 2025-79. Moving on to new business, I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-80.
First reading.
Second.
And a second. Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-80, ordinance number 4102, an ordinance adding a new chapter to the Bolivar Municipal Code outlining certain duties of designated code enforcement officers and establishing code enforcement citation authority for designated code enforcement officers.
Mr. Lee, would you care to step forward and give us the ins and outs of this?
Yes,
Perhaps we've read it.
sure.
For me, I have said in other circumstances, I know what I'm looking at, but I'm not sure what I'm seeing. And if for no other reason than to enlighten me about what this is really all about, if you'll explain that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, I think I can clarify pretty easily. Essentially, what we've tried to do, I think, responsive to the board's desire to just make our code enforcement process without any major hiccups or time delays or things like that moving forward. So this process, what it allows is our code enforcement officer to, after the first notice of violation is sent, and if someone's unresponsive, meaning they haven't requested additional time or they haven't addressed the issue, the process as it stands right now before this ordinance is that a recheck would be done, and then that recheck file would then be pushed on to the municipal prosecutor, who then has to essentially issue a ticket or issue a summons for that person then to appear in court, and they have to do all of that paperwork side of it. What this allows is the code enforcement to save that time, the transition time of that recheck, to then the municipal prosecutor having an opportunity to go through that file and then issue that summons and schedule and all of that. This allows the code enforcement officer to say, okay, we did the first step just the same, we're doing the second step really just the same, but the timing is shortened on it significantly. So they would write the ticket, which includes a court response, summons for that individual, and all of that is detailed, and then that's actually streamlines for our municipal prosecutor as well. That is all in the digi-ticket system already. So it really isn't skipping a step. It's not changing the speed or the time at which someone has to respond to a nuisance violation. It's just shortening that window of if something goes from our office to the municipal prosecutor's office and the lag that might occur in that time frame. So I hope that clarifies.
Yeah, and obviously, this is a source of frequent complaints about how long it takes to get something done that's an obvious code violation.
Correct, and that the goal of this is to shorten that
Yeah.
timeline. It's not to be, but it's still, we issue the same notice violations. We've actually included, I've asked our staff, and we've worked to include a little bit more of like a cover letter clarity. Some people get a little frustrated about receiving that notice of violation when they may have already taken care of it and they're concerned. And so we've tried to clarify even some of that language because we want our communication to be good
Yeah.
to the citizens, but
Okay.
this takes
Questions
care of
and
that.
comment? Go ahead, please.
Just real quick, I assume because we're seeing this at the Board of Aldermen, this is not something that needed to go through planning and zoning first?
Correct. It's covered in this 200 section, not within the
Awesome,
400.
just make sure.
Okay.
Second reading.
Questions or comment, Mr. Wilson?
Second reading.
Second.
Okay. Counselor, you caught me off guard here, sorry.
Yes, sir. Bill number 2025-80, ordinance number 4102, an ordinance adding a new chapter 280 to the Bolivar Municipal Code outlining certain duties of designated code enforcement officers and establishing code enforcement citation authority for designated code enforcement officers.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price. Rains.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
By a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2025-80. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-81.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-81, ordinance number 4103, an ordinance amending multiple sections within Chapter 410 of the Bolivar Municipal Code for miscellaneous provisions and adding a new R3 high-density district designations and regulations.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, and if Chairman Neal of our Planning and Zoning Commission wants to add anything, please feel free. I think the quickest and easiest summary of this is that we took a look at our zoning regulations. We've taken a look at what developers have requested and what we've seen in other communities. We assessed all that through our Planning and Zoning Commission, lots of conversation about that, and ultimately landed with the recommendation that we add a zoning district, which would be referred to as the R3 HD or high density. And the primary change is that what that allows is a lot width to go from a minimum of 60 feet in lot width to a minimum of 50 feet in a lot width, with a minimum lot depth of 100 feet. So again, that is the primary change here. Really, all the other changes are responsive to that change, and then all the times that R3 HD would show up in our code, there's a number of additions or changing that language within the code regulations. So
I think we had that discussion within the PNC, did we not?
Yes.
Yeah, this comes as a
Multiple-
recommendation
yes,
from
yes.
P&Z.
Yeah.
And part of the idea here that we've seen developers asking, we've had some planned development districts where they've
Correct.
asked for basically permission to deviate from the normal lot width requirements. And the idea is more lots per subdivision allows them to spread those infrastructure costs. And it seemed like it might be a way to help create more affordable housing if a developer can recoup more sales, more lots off of their subdivision, then maybe the prices for those individual lots could be maybe not a lot, but it would be a little bit smaller. And you said the only changes to that width. So the distance between the buildings across the setbacks on the side, we're still maintaining all of that. So
Yeah.
we still have the same access for emergency vehicles and things like that. It's just you can have a little bit narrower lot.
Correct.
For your house. So they will be built, more densely. It's a higher density thing, but it's not going to change the setbacks on the side at all. Right.
Comments
Yes,
and
correct.
questions? Comments and questions?
It's gonna be the same side setbacks?
Yes, your side yard setback is
Houses will actually be closer together.
no.
They
There
can-
will just if you had a city block, you might have 6 lots in that city block versus 5 lots in that city block. But the houses, the structures themselves will not be any closer because they can't, they could right now, correct.
Same setbacks.
Yep, same,
Yep.
same setbacks,
Yep.
correct, yep. Yep.
Questions and comments? If not, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2025-81.
Second reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-81, ordinance number 4103, an ordinance amending multiple sections within Chapter 410 of the Bolivar Municipal Code for miscellaneous provisions and adding a new R3 high-density district designations and regulations.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Rains,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Ballard,
Aye.
Price.
By a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2025-81. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-82. Entertaining a motion.
First reading.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-82, ordinance number 4104, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 2015 South Morrisville Road in Bolivar, Missouri.
Mr. Lee, could you,
So I don't know if the board has any questions for me directly. I think the applicant is also here, but this is a zoning change. It was recommended from the Planning and Zoning Commission, I think 7-1, or you may
Yeah,
have
I know
that
there was
number.
one no vote. I don't
Yep.
remember how many we had
Correct.
in attendance, but.
And it is the extension of an existing manufactured housing district zone to the west of its existing location. So you'll see that on the map that you have there. It's off Morrisville Road. That manufactured housing district exists now, and there is an adjoining lot to the west of it that is currently zoned R1, and the request is to rezone that to the manufactured housing district.
Mr. Ross?
A couple questions I have. How many trailers could fit or be put in this new location?
So the MHD district allows 8 units per acre, and my estimation off of our GIS services, there's just a little over 4 acres, but it'd be 32 units would be the maximum. I don't know if that's the intent or not. They would submit essentially a site plan, a plot plan that would include the layout of their lots, their street, their stormwater, those kinds of things as well. So I haven't seen that yet, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if 32 is contemplated, but that would be the maximum by the acreage.
Okay. So, this might be for the proposed, the applicant. So you currently own what's there now?
Yes, currently.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I'm Martin Tyler. I'm one of the owners of what's now called the Bolivar Mobile Home Park.
okay.
So with the new development, there are rules and regulations, like paved road, no mobile homes older than 5 years, I think it is, green space, parks, sidewalks, you got to have parking for.
I just want to clarify one statement there.
Yeah.
The way it reads is there's no introduction of a new manufactured house that is not 5 years or newer. So if there's an existing one that's 10 years old,
but obviously if this
Yeah.
new one, there's not one there, so all
correct.
of them
I
will
just
be
just
introduced.
the way you mentioned it, I wasn't sure if that was
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
But yeah.
So with the park that is currently there, do you have any plans to bring, I know there's already some that are older than the 5 years there. I know you've moved some in. Do you have any plans to bring that park up to code with the road and the sidewalks and things like that, curbs, and before you implement the new section behind it?
So the old section and the new section will look identical. Is that what you're asking me?
Correct.
Yes. So next phase, if approved, we'll put new trailers in the existing, and then the final phase will be get rid of the old trailers and put new ones where they are. And then the road and all that will happen all at the same time. So I got to make a road to go west. So the road coming from Morrisville will be the same going all the way through.
Okay, so here's my big concern is, when we make a vote, it's not based off of you or who owns it now. It's because realistically, I've known you for a long time. I like to think everybody who comes in here is like, oh yeah, this is what we're going to do. And but realistically, if we approve this, you could turn around tomorrow and sell it to somebody else who's like, I have zero plans to do any of that, but now I've got, this new area here. So we are always reminded that, we have to, when we rezone something, it's not necessarily for the project, because that project could change 10 times over between today and the completion of the project. So, the concern I have is, again, I trust you, that, hey, if you keep it, this project's going to get done. But what happens if we approve it and then like the new park, it's like, hey, we're not going to, make the upgrades and things like that. So now we still have the old property, but yet we've got, the new one now. So my personal opinion is I would like, we like to throw out the word phases and things. I would like, the current one to be brought up before we expand to an additional one, if that makes sense. And, if that's, so I guess the question I would have is, if the thought is we're going to bring them up, but all at the same time, walk me through how getting the current one up to code before we approve a new one would change that dynamic or issue, if that makes sense.
Are there not requirements in the code that would guarantee that?
Not with the new one.
Well, I think the mention of the clarity, the existing park essentially sets in the way of, from the public way, from Morrisville Road, it sits in the way of what would be contemplated as the new portion. Mm-hmm. So at a minimum, the street would have to be a hard surface, because the way I would interpret the code, that requirement for that hard surface pavement is to the public way. So that is for them to get a permit for the next trailer in this newly rezoned, at a minimum, that would have to be done. I don't, and Don and I had a brief conversation. I don't know that every facet. I think the other aspect that would apply to the whole park would be the fencing, because at that point, unless the new section was fenced off completely separate from the old, I think the fencing is all the way around. But there are some regulations in there that I don't think directly apply to the existing. That may be the intent of the owner, but like a paved walkway or those kinds of things, that may not be. So I guess what I'm saying is there are elements in here that would absolutely, whether it's this owner, some future owner, if someone wants to put trailer park further down there, they're gonna have to pave the road to it, to that next trailer.
If there's 7 things that need to be done to bring the current one up, there's probably 2 that would have to be done to get the new one, say up to, like the road, and probably
I would say the road and the fencing.
Yeah, the road and the fencing.
In my reading, is something that applies to the whole, because the one is connected to the other.
But
in that sense.
the walkway, and again, I'm not. I looked at the the code enough, but the walkway, the green space, the parking, the off-road parking, things like would not necessarily have to be done.
Yeah, it all applies to the new, absolutely. And some of those things, like even green space like is double approached within the regulation, because the maximum units applies to the existing one. So, and we've already had that conversation. As the existing one stands, he can't exceed the maximum units.
Sure, yeah.
But which ends up accomplishing green space, but the calculation of green space would apply to the new as well. Yeah. So I don't know if that clarifies.
Yeah.
The park, the way it sits, is already has more green space in between the trailers than the code makes me. And so, things like that are, you're going to get more with the existing park. To go back to your first question, if I do it in phases, it costs me more money. And I've got to pass that along to the tenants, unfortunately. So that's why I'm asking for it when I'm still only, 80% done with the first one, is because I want to be able to do it all at once and then, pass those savings on to the tenants. I'm trying my best to keep it under $1,000 a month for rent. per 3-bedroom house. So that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Further questions or comments?
Do we have any citizens that wanted to speak? Did anyone
Well, that's
have
what
any-
I was going to ask next, if there was public comment. Public.
Is there anything else for me?
Would you like to?
Or were there, in planning and zoning, were there any residents that came forward?
There were, and I think they're here and ready to address the board. I will say, I obviously can't speak for why all of the members of planning and zoning voted the way that they did, but I can say two topics that came up. One was a topic we talk about all the time, right, which is trying to create ways to get people in houses at different income brackets. And so there was some discussion of whether this would be a way to open up housing at a different price point than is currently widely available in the community. So that was one that was discussed by multiple members. The other is, as you can see from your map that you have in your packet, the parcel is landlocked. And so whatever development goes there is going to need to go through that mobile home park to get there. So if you're talking about putting up duplexes or putting up single-family homes, the developer's appetite for developing that, where you have to drive through an existing mobile home park to get to those developments, I think there was some concern about whether that was a realistic use of the land. So I think part of the thought was, what is the best use of this parcel of land, given that access to it runs through a mobile home park? And I think that
Alexis,
yeah.
question
So I think
I have.
that did come up as part of the discussion.
Question, and I know it may not be, your point per se, but the people on planning and zoning, obviously, when you say they don't want to drive through, an existing trailer park to get to duplexes or things like that, did they give a reason why a developer may not want to, like why people wouldn't want to drive? Because the concern I have is, if we're like, hey, people don't want to drive through a trailer park to get to, houses behind it or duplexes, well, there's houses behind it and duplexes, there now. And so if the trailer park goes in and the thought process is, well, nobody wants to build there because there's a trailer park, but yet people have already built here because there's a trailer park, it kind of inherently is the same argument.
Well, I don't know that I would say it's exactly the same. I would say if you're wanting to live in a mobile home community, you're willing to drive into a mobile home community.
Sure.
So that access would be fine. I think that there would be a distinction between being in a development that is near a mobile home community as opposed to driving through one. And again, I'm not a developer. Maybe a developer would feel differently, but the idea was the likelihood of this parcel of land being developed into anything else. I think that was a piece of the discussion. Again, everybody voted. Nobody had to defend their vote and explain why they thought that way. But what we did have everybody but one who did vote to approve it, and we did have some citizens who came forward and had questions and expressed their reservations. I'm sure they would be happy to come and share those concerns now.
Okay, well, that was what was going to be next. We invite public comment concerning Bill number 2025-83. Is there someone here who would like to step forward as a comment?
I think we got two.
Okay, please speak into the microphone and
Okay.
please state your name.
My name is Abby Glendenning, and I own 2 duplexes on that goes right up to the current mobile home park. I just wanted to speak as a landlord, as a property owner next to this. When my late husband and I purchased this property, we did know that the existing mobile home park was behind us, but we knew that it was the only plot of land in the city that was zoned for manufactured homes, and it would never expand. Nothing was zoned for it. We would have most certainly thought twice if it would have been larger, or if we knew there was a chance of expanding in the future. That's a potential to impact our property values. I own 4 units. They rent from anywhere from $795 to $1,100. That's very reasonable. So there are many affordable housing options in Bolivar. I've talked to many local landlords who rent very nice, energy efficient places. They may be hard to find, but they do exist. So I know these new ones are renting for quite a bit, $975 a month, which is quite a bit. So when I get new tenants, they are concerned that there are manufactured homes behind them. There's a lot of questions. They're a little concerned about who might be living there, who their neighbors might be just over the fence. And I tried to provide very nice, safe accommodations for all of my tenants. So I'm here also to protect them as well as my property. Do you guys have questions for me?
Questions for the citizen here, for Ms. Glendenning? Thank you for
Thank you.
your comment. Are there other public comment, or is there anyone else here who would want to step forward? Okay.
My name is Justin Lahr. I have 11 duplexes next street over next to those. Speaking on affordable housing, those trailers cost about $55,000 a piece, rent for $1,000. My duplexes cost me $325 a piece to build, rent for $1,250 to $1,300. So if you look at the amount spent on what a person's getting there, I feel like mine are more affordable. My values are going to be driven down by, 32 more trailer houses that are going to lose value over time, where mine are going to appreciate. We don't know the maintenance cost of a $50,000 trailer versus a duplex that someone pays $325,000 to build in a conventional manner. So that was my concern.
Further questions? Your name again, please, sir?
Justin Lahr. Lahr, L-A-H-R.
Mr. Lahr, okay. Thank you, Mr. Lahr. Further comments and questions?
Was there any discussion of planning and zoning about concerns about the density of this area, if adding another 30 trailers?
My understanding, and the applicant can speak to this, although the acreage, there was a maximum number that the acreage could support, I believe the applicants, and again, I don't know how to necessarily weigh this because someone else could come in differently. I don't know how it would actually break out with the lay of the land, how many you could bring in. But do you want to speak to how many units you were actually contemplating installing in that new section?
Yeah, the zoning allows 32 trailers. I'm not gonna put 32 trailers there. I don't want people living on top of each other. So, once we do the site plan and, one idiot's measurement's gonna be different than the official one. So we're looking at about 16, maybe 8 per side, just keep going straight up the roadway that it's on.
And you're saying that's combined, or is that the new one would have 16 more?
The new one would have 16. I have 12 now.
Okay.
So it'll basically be about the same. I think that plot of land's a little bit longer, so the spacing is going to be pretty close to what you see now.
Further questions and comments?
One more question.
And Mr. Ross.
So, the land is, I'm assuming, behind the current trailer park. So all of that traffic would come out on Morrisville Road and go either left or right, towards Aldridge or towards Springfield, the wraparound way, or I guess you could even probably loop back around by Freddy's now. So, but for the most part, and I think that was what Alderman Ballard is all, even at 16 more, if you figure, 2 drivers per, that's, 32. Just the concern of, is there the traffic flow over in that area? So there's not going to be like an added road that's going to connect to another existing road somewhere else. It's just going to be the road that connects to Morrisville Road.
You want me to put all my business out here? So I also own the land to the south.
The R3 lot.
Of that, of the mobile home, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, the future plan will be to develop that, and then it'll be a horseshoe road going through that. So you'd go up where the trailer park is, you would turn left, maybe, and then you would come back down.
Okay.
So that would be the site plan that,
Okay.
that I would get full approval on and all that sort of stuff.
Further
So it won't all come in and out of there, most likely.
Yeah. Okay.
We have more.
Oh, yeah. Sir, it's important that comments be made into the microphone for public viewing.
So that property is not actually landlocked. Is that the case?
Currently it is.
It is?
Currently.
I think there's a bit, just the way people are using that term, I think is a bit confusing. The lot that exists currently is zoned manufactured housing district on the east side of that lot. It is zoned R1 on the west side of that lot. There is no landlocked lot. The lot itself has frontage on Morrisville, but there is a portion of the lot that is zoned R1. When you see that zoning layer, you're not seeing two lots. You're seeing two zonings, which does occur. I would not advise it's a great method.
So the lot does have frontage, okay.
But the lot itself, it's kind of a misnomer. There's not a landlocked lot.
Okay.
What was speculated was another future road, which would be required to subdivide the R3 portion into multiple lots, because that lot is a single lot right now. If it was to become subdivided into multiple lots, it would require a new city street with frontages. Is that making sense? I don't know if that helps
So
or
just, sorry, so just a point of clarification. So the access to the R1 portion is still limited to coming through?
Yes, it's part of that lot.
The mobile home
Yeah,
park.
if something future was speculated,
Uh-huh.
like another street, they could do a lot split and
Right.
then now have a new lot with a new frontage. They could not perform a lot split currently
Because of
they don't have
access.
frontage, yeah.
Don, question for you. When contemplating things like, okay, the best use of the land, in this case, we have sort of the accident of the same person who owns this back half of the lot that's R1 happens to also own adjacent land that would give him potentially the opportunity to tap into Morrisville Road without having, like, you could envision a situation where he decided to develop a road coming off of Morrisville Road through the R3 portion and reaching this without having to access this. But they are not the same lot. It is also just as possible that they could have been two different owners, in which case the owner of this portion would be limited here.
Correct.
So I'm trying to think from a planning and zoning perspective, how much it is appropriate to take into account you happen to own the lot next door and therefore happen to have a potential way to access the road separate from driving through the mobile home park. Does that make sense what I'm asking you at all?
It does, but I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, but I mean, I would take the position that you would want to look at it in the scenario that it had two different owners, because
Right.
that could happen tomorrow.
Right, and that's why I was trying to, like, I wasn't sure how appropriate it would be to say, well, just use your neighboring lot to access, if it wouldn't necessarily always be the case that you happen to own the neighboring lot. All right, thank you,
Yes.
that's helpful.
Questions and comments? All right. I'm entertaining a motion for a second reading of Bill number 2025-82. I'm entertaining a motion.
Second reading.
And a second. Apparently, we will not move forward with Bill 2025-82. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-83. I'm entertaining a motion.
First reading.
Second.
Okay, entertaining a second, okay. Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-83, ordinance number 4105, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 209 South Clark Avenue in Bolivar, Missouri.
Mr. Lee?
Yeah, Chairman Neal, if you want to speak to it, certainly this is a rezone application for a lot located there. You can see it on your map on South Clark. It is currently zoned R4 and is requesting to be changed in classification to CO, which is a commercial district, which also many times can be kind of understood as almost like an overlap district there. It allows a single-family structures as well as some commercial usage, primarily linked to small office type usage, and that's the request. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
I did not look at this, I admit, beforehand. Isn't that,
This is the splash.
that's not quite to the park, is it?
It is close to, but about, a half a block away from the splash pad.
On the west side.
The
on-
north
on
side.
9.
Well, it's on the west side of Clark, but
Yeah,
it would be
west-
north
Yeah,
north of the park.
Right, north of the park, but
Yes.
so it'll be on the west side of the street. There's a kind of a spa there.
Soul Deep Therapy is just to the north of there, so
Yeah.
there's already a business on the north side, and then beyond that is the like, used car lot or something like that.
It had been a
Right.
Yeah.
barbecue place at one time.
Yeah,
So
the
it's a
one-
border, it's already like a lot that's got sort of a
Yeah.
mixed-use border, and it's just moving that border one house over, but
Okay.
keeping open the option for residents or business, depending on the needs of the owner.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Questions and comments? All right.
Is it the same owner?
Go ahead, please.
Is it the same owner? Did they,
As what?
the one that's requesting the change, is that the same owner as the one next door to them, or is this completely?
No, this is a
separate?
different owner.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, they didn't purport it like it was.
All right, all right. Further questions, further comments?
Were there any issues with residents or any nearby businesses?
No, not on that one. I think we might have had like one call in request for information, but
Okay.
nothing. Nobody came to the meeting to oppose or had any significant.
I'm entertaining a motion for a second reading of Bill number 2025-83.
Second reading.
Second.
In a second, okay. Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-83, ordinance number 4105, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 209 South Clark Avenue in Bolivar, Missouri.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Abstain.
Rains.
Aye.
By a vote of 5 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2025-83. I am entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-84.
First reading.
Second.
And first reading and a second. Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-84, ordinance number 4106, an ordinance authorizing a financial assistance agreement with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for a grant to assist with recreational trails program improvements for Dunnigan Memorial Park.
Okay, I don't guess Mr. Schrader is here, but of course I think we understand this. We're just, oh, here he is. Where's, your presence is now well known. I guess, I suppose it's self-explanatory, but, okay.
This is simply a funding agreement. We've already let the board know we were approved for
Yeah.
this recreational trails program
And
grant.
we did get the money.
This right here would solidify it when
Yeah.
when the board approves for the mayor to be able to sign this document. That puts us into a funding agreement with the Federal Highway Administration to fund it.
Questions and comments?
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-84, ordinance number 4106, an ordinance authorizing a financial assistance agreement with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for a grant to assist with recreational trails program improvements for Dunnigan Memorial Park.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Neal.
Aye.
Rains.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Price. Ballard.
Aye.
By a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2025-84. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-85.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-85, ordinance number 4107, an ordinance authorizing an updated employment agreement with Mr. Thomas Railford for the position of city administrator for the city of Bolivar, Missouri.
Okay, well, just for the, had this marked over here, just for public consumption. I'll read what we had agreed to. Salary of city shall pay administrator an annual base salary of $127,442, payable in such periodic installments as city pays other employees subject to withholding for required or employee authorized withholding. The salary includes base salary of $127,442.41 annually, plus an additional $6,000 annually for car allowance. Notwithstanding the foregoing, total base salary will increase to $129,991.25 on March 20th, 2026, and to continue the additional $6,000 annually for car allowance. The administrator's salary shall be prorated for any partial calendar year for the following the effective date of this agreement. Discussion and questions.
Second reading.
Seeing none, we have a motion for a second reading, and we have a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Oh, I'll do the second reading first,
Second
Mr. Mayor.
reading, beg your pardon.
Oh.
Second reading.
Yes,
beg your
sir.
pardon.
This is Bill number 2025-85, ordinance number 4107, an ordinance authorizing an updated employment agreement with Mr. Thomas Railford for the position of City Administrator for the City of Bolivar, Missouri.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Rains.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Ballard.
By a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2025-85. I'm entertaining a motion to go into closed session.
I move that we take a 5-minute break and then go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subparagraph 1, legal action, cause of action, or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorney, and RSMO 610.021 subparagraph 2, leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public governmental body where public knowledge of the transaction might adversely affect the legal consideration therefore.
And entertaining a motion for a second.
Second.
We are, all those in favor of going into closed session?
Roll call.
Roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Rains.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
By a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, we will now go into a 5-minute break and go into closed session.